Hey, good evening, Riverbend. Glad to have you here at Everything Matters tonight. My name is Foor. I'm the missions pastor here at Riverbend. We've been doing this show every Tuesday night for about the last, 6-7 weeks now. It's called Everything Matters. And I just want to let you know, if this is your first time, why we call it Everything Matters. See, I was growing up, I was a pastor's kid. Grew up in a very religious background, which is a lot of good things about that. But one of the things for me that I noticed is that everything was all about spirituality. It was like if there was a problem, you would pray about it, you would read scripture, and everything was good. As I got older, I realized there was a little more to life than just that. And that all of us humans are made up of both emotional, spiritual, and practical needs. And so that's part of the reason we call it Everything Matters. And I see God in all these different things, in art and music and our interactions and community and in Scripture, and I see it in all these different things. So the idea for that came out of that experience of Everything Matters. And so tonight, we're going to play some Johnny Cash. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have my friends Ash, Almonte, and Stacey Boone here, and Kevin and I are going to play some Johnny Cash honky-tonk and have a good time. So if you're just joining us, we're glad to have you here. Get settled in. Get your Johnny Cash guitar out if you have one to play along with me, and we'll have a good time tonight. We're going to be talking, like I said, about foster kids particularly, but really focusing on the scripture, James 1:27. And we'd love for you to just interact, ask us questions through the night. Kevin's going to be helping me filter that so we can get to those things. So thanks for being here with us tonight. Glad you're with us. So we're going to start off with A Boy Named Sue, and Boy Named Sue is actually written by Stacey. How do I say his name?
Oh, Shel Silverstein.
Silverstein, which is a children's book writer, poetry. Mm-hmm. And so Johnny Cash took this Boy Named Sue story and turned it into a song. So appropriate for tonight. So all you Johnny Cash fans are King Rebel Johnny Cash. So here we go. We'll give this a go. Kevin, you ready to do this? I mean, get all settled here. My dad left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much for my mom and me. And it's just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, don't blame him because he run and hid, but the best that he ever did was he left me for and he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought it was quite a joke, and he got a lot of laughs from a lot of folks. It seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some guy would giggle and I'd get red, and some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head. Tell you life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My first pants got keen. They roam around this town and find my shame. But I made a vow to the moon and the stars that I'd search the honky-tonks and bars, and I'd kill that man who gave me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I just hit town and my throat was dry, and I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon on a street of mud, there at a table dealing studs, sat the dirty mangy dog that named me Sue. Well, I knew that snake was my sweet dad from the worn-out picture that my mother'd had. I knew the scar on the cheek and his evil eye. He was big and bent and gray and old, and I looked him in my head, my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue, how do you do? Now you're gonna die." Well, I hit him hard right between the eyes, and he went down, but to my surprise, he came up with a knife and cut off a piece of my ear. But I busted a chair right across his teeth, and we crashed to the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. I heard him laugh and I heard him cuss, and he went for his gun and I pulled mine first. I stood there looking at me, I saw him smile. And he said, "Son, the world is rough. If a man's gonna make it, he's gotta be tough." And I knew I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I gave you that name and I said goodbye, and I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's the name that's helped to make you strong. Now he said you just fought one hell of a fight, and I know you hate me and you got the right to kill me now. I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me best before you die for the gravel in your gut and the spit in your eye, because I'm the mean son of a gun that made you sue. I got all choked up and threw down my gun. I called him Pa and he called me son, and I came away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then, every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever name his son, I'm going to name him Noah or Asher or something else besides Sue. I hate that name. Yes. The Kevin Hedges, the best piano player that I know and have ever known.
Yeah.
Give him a hand.
He doesn't know very many, so
I know a lot of piano players. You are incredible.
Let's just go with that part.
Let me get my guitar set down here.
That was awesome.
Hopefully you got,
It was
yeah.
incredible.
Hopefully you enjoyed that. Ash is you're a Texan, so that's like good for you, right?
Dave talked about heroes, and he just happens to be one of them.
There you go. Love Johnny Cash. Hope you guys enjoyed the Johnny Cash stuff. So we're having a good night tonight. I'm really excited to spend some time with some of my friends and talk about an issue that's really actually important to me. And we use this scripture a lot, and it's kind of based around this tonight. I think it'll help frame our discussion before I'm going to have these ladies introduce themselves and share a little bit about themselves. But James 1:27 is really a scripture that I think has been one of those things for me for a long time that's impacted me. It talks about the idea that true religion, real faith, is that if you basically helping the widows and the poor and the orphans. And it uses the word orphans, which we don't really use that word anymore. It's like politically incorrect maybe, because we don't want to call people, but that's really what a lot of these kids who are in foster care, the biblical narrative will say that they're orphans, and it's real and it's kind of raw. So I want to talk tonight about how we help in the foster care system, and have some of my friends tonight who have a lot of experience in helping with that and being a part of that. So Ash Almonte is here and Stacy's here. Ash, I'd like you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your family and even how you got into this foster care thing, and hopefully so as an organization you help with. And so just give us a little bit of your background, Ash.
Yeah, totally. So I'm Ash Almonte. I'm married to a very handsome Dominican man named Erwin.
Given the Dominican.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We love Erwin.
Oh, yeah. Super handsome. And we have 2 children, Emma and Henry, 3 and 4. And I work professionally as an artist.
Any art that may represent your work anywhere close by?
Right behind her is one of her pieces that we have in our welcome center at church.
I gotta brag a little bit on you because you're just one of my favorite artists in the world. We
so
have
kind.
several pieces of Ash's art around the campus and in the Home for Hope, and this one was, I think, 2015 or 16 for Easter that we did something with, and it was just a gorgeous piece. And again, if you haven't looked up her artwork already and seen what she does, you need to right away.
Oh, you're so kind. I remember Kevin calling me and saying, okay, we're going to paint Jesus. And I'm like, oh, boy. No pressure. No pressure,
I think it came out pretty well.
Well, thank you. I think
it's great.
It was amazing to work with you guys. So thank you for the opportunity. And so, yes, I serve as executive director at an organization called Hopefully So, Riverbend partners with, and we were actually born out of a Riverbend community group. So that is born in Abilene, Texas, southern West Texas girl.
There you go.
But definitely planted roots in Austin. So that's all.
Her artwork is amazing. You can I would highly suggest you follow her on Instagram. She does some great things, so go check out Ash there. And also, hopefully we'll get some links up to post so you can follow what Hopefully So is doing. They're just doing some great work, and we're going to get into that tonight. And Stacey Boone, we've been friends for
Like 20 years?
like 20 years.
Yeah.
You and Sam have recently moved out to be the family pastors here at Riverbend. It's been great having you here, having friends close by. And so, Stacey, just tell us a little bit about you and your background, and even how you entered into this foster world that we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah. So I am married to an incredibly handsome, I think, Irish man. I'm not sure exactly what Sam is.
I call Sam the silver fox.
There you go.
Yeah. All of us jealous of his hair.
Yeah. You know what? The older ladies love his hair when he lets
Sure
it grow
they do.
out.
The silver fox.
The silver fox. Yeah. Yeah, we have 3 kids. We have 2 girls who are biological girls. One that's 19 who's in college, and then we have a 17-year-old that's a junior in high school, and then we have a little boy that's 2 that we just adopted through foster care. And so Danny, who is just amazing and fun. Yeah. Yeah, the way we got involved in foster care, I think our hearts really got involved in it when we were back in Riverside, and the church we were at back there had a huge heart for it. And one of the families that we were good friends with did foster care, and we really saw it and saw them do it well and really love. Aaron knows who I'm talking about, the Hassemeyers.
Yeah,
and
Hassemeyers, great family.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I just loved, like, their older kids who are biological were in our youth group and seeing their kids' hearts change, and it was just such a beautiful thing. And we just had a heart for it. And we prayed about it for probably about 6 years, because we both had, Sam and I, at different times, like, it was like mostly I would be like, yes, let's do it. And he's like, I'm not sure. Because it's a big commitment.
It is.
And we knew it had to be, we had to be praying about it, and it had to be at the right time, and we both had to be on the same page. And it wasn't until we moved to LA that God really opened up the door, and Sam came home from watching a Francis Chan sermon, and he was like, I know I'm going to regret this if we never step out and do it. And so then we just went and did it, and it's probably one of the hardest things we've ever done, but I would never, it was amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing, because I've, as a friend, watched you guys through this journey. It's been incredibly powerful for me as your friend. Even Danny, I'm Uncle Aaron to Danny, so it's a good deal. Yeah. Kevin, how long have you been here at Riverbend? What's your official title?
That's a secret. No one can know what I do.
Kevin is always the man, like, pulling the strings, making it all happen. He's really amazing, and like I said, amazing piano player.
Really, it's let's get to the meat of the stuff. I'm not important.
How long you been here at church, though?
Oh, 7.5 years.
7.5 years. Okay.
And I have the privilege of working with all the different artists, whether they're in music or tech or visual arts, communications, everything else. So social media, we have a great team, but we're excited to do what we're doing with all these live streams and doing the things that we need to do during this time to reach people. And we thank everybody for their support by watching and by showing up on Sunday virtually and doing all the things that they're doing. That's super, super cool. Yeah. So, and hats off to our team for keeping it going.
Absolutely. So here's what I'd like to ask you guys as we're getting into this. I want to frame our discussion a little bit tonight. As a missions pastor, I deal with all sorts of different issues, and I love the team that I work with, like what Kevin's saying about his team. But we have, we spend, thousands of dollars in time and resource to help homeless, to help people who are coming out of jail. We had Terry on a few weeks ago to talk about human trafficking. Terry Ingram from B. Lydia. Go check them out too. And we just spend a lot of time trying to help people on this back end of a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of just ugliness, right? And we're going to do it till Jesus comes back because we believe in it. But the reality is the kids that are in the foster system, all the stuff surrounding it is such a big part that feeds into all these things. And for me, it's one of those things as a pastor, and I'm going to probably cut myself open and bleed a little bit on this one because I'm passionate about we could prevent a lot of the stuff that we see on the other end. Now, we're always going to have the poor with us and helping and people who are struggling, but there is a lot that goes on in this foster area. And I know for me, the journey of that, of learning about things and experience the foster teens is where I really started too. It just broken my heart. And it's just given me a new understanding about what's going on in society and communities and how some things are broken down. But I'd like to start with this, because I think this will help people who are watching tonight to kind of get a understanding of this. What has broken your heart? What's the, when you get into the foster stuff, Stacy and Ash, what's the stuff that like just busts you open, like I gotta do something about this? What has been that? Either it's a stat, a thing, or a story, or whatever it is that goes, I gotta do this. Ash, do you have something like that?
Yes, but I said I was not going to cry.
Well,
so
good luck on that. I'm gonna have a hard time not
It's
crying
like
tonight.
I say I'm not going to cry, and Aaron's goal is to make me cry. So here we go.
Absolutely, get to the real stuff.
Yeah, I would say it's hard. There are multiple things. I think what is an overall, I guess, breaks my heart the most is not all, but I think there are quite a few teenagers in foster care or that have gone through very traumatic things in foster care. What breaks my heart the most is the self-confidence it takes away from them, the way that maybe some can feel unlovable. It's an unspoken message that's not true. And I think for some, not all, it can wear on their spirit. And so that breaks my heart to see someone feel unworthy or unloved.
Yeah.
The second thing that breaks my heart is that foster care is so messy.
Yeah.
And so whenever you have organizations and people that are trying to get together and help, it's beautiful and it's amazing. As you get to know these teenagers, some are ashamed to be in foster care. So when you're an organization and you're trying to kind of like highlight what you do or highlight what donors have done, you don't want to make them feel ashamed. And you don't want to embarrass them. And so I think them feeling embarrassed about where they're at breaks my heart. Those are, I think, the two things that just really, the way they feel about themselves really bothers me, really breaks my heart.
Yeah, I feel that too. And I think part of the reason we played Boy Named Sue is to that end. I mean, here's the story that's really well written and told about basically a parent who forces this horrible situation on Sue, Boy Named Sue, and he's had to deal with it his whole life. And there's even here he talks about there's this, one of the lines is, you know, the running from town to town because I'm to hide my own shame. You know, when I've listened to this song a bunch, but when I put it in the context of the foster kids, especially the teenagers who are very aware of what's going on, the shame that's there is like, it breaks my heart too. It's really, really sad. And they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah,
it wasn't their deal that they're in this place. It's completely because of other people around and the breakdown of the family, which I'm not judging those guys either, but that's caused their pain.
Yeah, the circumstance. And it's hard whenever you know the truth, right?
Right.
I know you're amazing. I know you're going to do great things. I know you're funny and you're smart and you're creative. And you just want them to feel that truth, you know?
Yeah. So you go and hang at which two homes? You have two different homes you hang out, right?
Yes, we currently serve the Austin Children's Shelter, and we serve the settlement home for children.
And what do, you and other volunteers, what do you do when you go there?
So we have multiple kind of things that different volunteers do. The thing that I do specifically is I do arts and crafts. So I take different art projects, different craft projects to give them the opportunity to be creative. And since we're talking about this, I can tell you what we do, but we have an intention behind what we do.
Right.
So we're taking arts and crafts, but that arts and crafts gives us the opportunity to say, hey, Joseph, that blue you just mixed up is amazing. Like, how did you do that? Like, and it gives us an opportunity to slowly start helping build their confidence.
Give them value again.
Yeah, and use that creativity in that way to kind of just give them an opportunity to use their confidence and to have a voice.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, Ash, as Aaron and I were talking about this, getting ready the last few days, I had mentioned to him a statistic that I heard a long time ago about something like 80% of foster kids, once they're 18, are either dead or in jail or homeless. And I said, Aaron, is that true? Is that still true? Does that still happen?
I don't know if
And
the
he said,
stats true. There's a lot.
and then I started looking up a few things, and there's all these wild stats that say something very similar to that. There's some overlap because they could be homeless. They might be in jail at one point or another. Do the kids in the homes know that that's part of what the future has held for other kids? Is that part of the shame and embarrassment, or is it what? Have they heard stories of what happens once you turn 18 and all these other things?
Okay. For what we do, again, since we do the arts and crafts, we're not in there on like, I'm not a psychiatrist and I don't do like their therapy. Like that would be more of a question that the homes that we work with could answer. In the stats that I've read, that's very high, but there are stats out there. The shame and guilt that I'm thinking about is that I feel whenever I think like if we go in and do an activity or someone donates and they want a lot of pictures, sometimes it can be embarrassing that they're receiving this or they're in this situation to receive this as far as being in foster care. Like an example, I'm trying to think, would be just being in that situation of needing that thing and being in that home. I don't know anything about those statistics. I would believe and hope that they would never allow them to think that that was the trajectory of their life, right?
Sure.
But I have some things that too, Kevin. And this may help with that part of it too. And then I want Stacy to share what's kind of breaking her heart. But for years, I would help run a camp for kids who were foster teenagers, and we would take them away to a camp for a weekend and a bunch of volunteers. And we had them every month also. At a church I worked at before, where we'd spend time and building relationship consistency, and that was the relationships that I built. Was the biggest fear is what's going to happen when I'm out of this. And the closer they got to 18, the more they were freaked out about it, and they knew what things were going on. The relationships I had with kids was like, I mean, my son's in the room tonight. He's helping run cameras for us. He's 19. I remember what it was like when I was 18. And I had no clue, and I had a pretty good family around me, and unit that was helping me. They don't have that, so they're like, "What in the world am I going to do?" I mean, it's the closer they got to that time, the relationships that I had, and it happened over and over and over again. It's like the teenage time is kind of like the last chance we have with them to really help them before real life sets in. And there's no safety net at all then. That's scary.
For sure. And I will say the organizations that we work with, they have cottages and programs that are specific just for that, transitional living. So these organizations try to prepare them for when they do age out, that they don't become, or that they have the proper best odds against them set up, and they really do a great job at preparing them for aging out of the system. Now, the statistics that you've read, there are a lot of statistics out there that are true, and we've read all those statistics. And what we did as an organization, we said, okay, these statistics exist. What things can help these statistics go down? So what we focused on were the things that could help. So we learned helping them sow into their own identity, self-identity, driver's license, stuff like that, freedom, independence, healthy, positive relationships, creative outlets, consistency. And so there were other things, but what we did is we took 2 or 3 things and we used those intentionally into our program. So, for example, like I'm saying, we're doing arts and crafts, but we have an intention behind that. We're giving them a voice. We're giving them an opportunity to be creative. We're building positive relationships. We also have a driver's license program where they get their driver's license. They get to go to private driving lessons, and they have the opportunity to get their driver's license. And that is one we're very passionate about because it sows into that.
I want you to talk more about that in a little bit, because that, to me, is one of the coolest things you guys are doing, and I want people to be aware of that in a little more detail.
Okay.
I think it's really good. So I don't want you to let all that stuff go yet. Hold on to that, because that's really good. Stacy, I'll ask you the same question. What is it that kind of breaks your heart in this? And I might even ask you a little bit more about your story, too, kind of about Ash's story, too. So what's the biggest thing that got you go, like, I got to do this? So you shared a little bit about Sam, what he finally did, but what has been it that's really broken your heart, says, I got to do this, I got to be a part of this?
Well, I know the thing that really got me is that at one point I just realized that these kids that need a home, these kids that have been through horrible situations, are just like my biological daughters. They were born into the world just like them. They were just born into a family that was in a rough time. And it just, I remember the first, our first set of kids that we got, we had twin 3.5-year-olds, which was insane and crazy. But I remember sitting and looking at them at one point, and they were severely abused. There's a long story behind it. But just looking at them thinking, they're just like my girls. They want to be loved. They want to be protected. They had so much post-traumatic stress because of the abuse that they had experienced. They had been, at birth, they were put in foster care. They had been taken, the mom fought to get them back, appealed the court to get them back, and then severely abused them again to where they came to our house with bruises all over and the same broken teeth. It was just insane. And talk about self-worth, and them feeling shame. The little boy, the phone call we got the night we got him, I'm going to cry. This is so hard to, bring this all back up. It took me a long time to work through my emotions about this, but they're like, we don't even know if he talks. He's 3.5. We don't even know if he talks. We think there might be something wrong with him. And so we got him. And he could talk fine. He was terrified of his mom. His mom, and it was a unique situation to where they still, the mom blamed the dad for the abuse. The dad blamed the mom. So they still had to go to visits. So then I had to take them to the visits, and the kids would just hide on me. And they didn't want to see their mom at all. But I got to talk with the mom. So I got to get more backstory on what these kids had gone through. Yeah. And she even told me she didn't know. She didn't even know how to pronounce her son's name for a while. And she thought he was dumb. And it was just so sad. She would take him to therapy, and the therapist was like, I want to show you, he can eat. He just won't eat in front of you because he's scared. And the therapist actually told her, you need to learn your son's name. And so these little kids at 3.5 years old he's already learned that he's not worth much. Right. And I remember I used to sit there and I used to talk to him and be like, buddy, you are so smart. I would just tell him, I didn't know how long we would have him. I didn't know. So I would just tell him, you're so smart. You're so valuable. And I would just repeat those things over and over and over to him because I just wanted it in his head. Yeah. It just broke my heart.
Man, it's hard. And I remember a couple times, I watched
you met them.
Yeah, I watched you and Sam have multiple kids in and out of your home, and I just was moved by it. We're going to the beach, hanging out with the kids, and you guys just working hard on that. Now, this is messy. Okay, I think part of the reason, I always talk when we're talking about dealing with helping people. There's kind of this journey, right? Level 1 is hey, I'm gonna help someone with a sandwich and some of these things. That's a really good thing. You actually started, Ash, with doing mobile loaves and fishes,
I
didn't
love
you?
mobile loaves and fishes.
So sometimes we get our feet wet in that, and maybe have a little bit more experience, and you find yourself kind of down this rabbit hole of these kinds of issues and these kinds of things. And I think it's natural. God takes us into that journey that way. I always tell people, no one's ever showed up at church and said, here's $3,000, I'm going to go with you on the next mission trip. That's never happened to me. There's always this journey that God takes us through of helping, getting the scripture of helping the widows and the orphans and the poor. It's a journey. It's not something that's boom, done. There's this long journey to it. And God does as much in us as he does in other people that's going on. Now,
Amen.
I want to ask you this, Stacy, and then Kevin, maybe take some questions if you got some on there. But Stacy, I want you to share a little bit of your journey in this because I think it's really important.
Yeah, if I can just jump in real,
Yeah.
I think this is one of the things that people like myself who are listening, it's one of those things that sometimes seems out of reach. You
Absolutely.
think that there's
I
such
can
a
never
big
do that, right?
chasm
Yeah.
between my daily life and the things that I have to deal with and everything else. And what could I ever do to make a difference? I have a group of guys that I get together with every other week or so, and we talk about this. And we think, okay, again, there's this big chasm between the need and what I'm able to provide. So you guys, you jumped in big.
But it was a long journey, right?
You're
It was a
jumping in
journey,
Yeah.
yeah. And, I started out, my sister was adopted, my older sister. So, like, adoption, kids needing homes, was always there. And it was never a weird thing. My parents always did that really well. And then going to the church in Riverside where I just saw it, people loving on kids so well, and kids that aren't their own biological, but just embracing them and loving them. And God just, I think, just through, that 15 years, just
15 years.
yeah, and
Long time.
yeah, and my heart was this sounds so cheesy every time I say it, but I love being a mom.
Yeah.
Like when I was in college, I remember
That's not cheesy. That's good.
I was like, if I can be a mom and a youth, this sounds cheesy, and a youth pastor's wife, I will be happy. Like I'm good. Like this is what I want to do. I want to be a mom, youth pastor's wife. And I remember, and so I think even as our girls were growing up, I kept telling Sam, I'm like, it's not finished. Like we need to do more, because my mom heart just knows that we need to do more. Like,
Right.
And so I think it was just something that, and not everyone, and I think like how you said, like not everyone is supposed to do foster care in their home. It is hard.
Yeah,
like if I can even, like Sam and I knew from watching other people, like if we weren't on the same page 100%, like Sam and I talk about it, we're like, we would have given up. Like it was that first case we had, multiple people told
Right.
us how hard it
Well,
was.
see, I'm the missions pastor. I don't feel called to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel called to support other people who are. And we're going to get into some accessibility in a little bit. But here's what I really want you to talk about. If you can share this with us, and then we can keep checking with some questions and stuff. I think God, I watched you and Sam do this. You went in thinking we're gonna help the kids, but then it morphed into maybe we're gonna help the parents.
Yeah, like I
And tell us,
remember.
because I think that this is super messy what I'm getting in with you, but to me that's been the beauty of this experience that I've watched you guys about your relationship with helping the parents be better parents and care for like the whole family, which has been really cool. So tell me what's going on with you with that.
Well, after the twins went somewhere else, I remember Sam and I took a month and we just prayed about like what we were going to do next. We had to check with our girls and see if they were still on board to keep going, because that was a really hard situation. And I just started praying, God, I really feel like this next one that you want us to have is not just for us to have the kid, but I really want to have a young mom. Like I love mentoring people. I love coming alongside women. And so I said, God, please give me a young mom just to love on. And so I was actually very specific when I talked to our social worker about that. I said, if you could just place me with a young mom. And the chance of that working out to a mentor relationship is not very likely sometimes within the foster care system, because the parents, the biological parents, really don't like foster parents a lot of times. Right. But I remember just feeling like that is such a need, and there's so many girls out there that have been in group homes that need like an older woman to mentor them. So we waited, and God just brought the right baby into our house. We got a 4-month-old little boy, and I knew from the first time I talked to his mom, like it was just we had a relationship, and it was a long journey. Like it was a very long journey of her having to get used to me having her baby, which that is a really hard thing to do when it's your child. I mean and I think that's an important thing for foster parents to understand. Yeah. Like I'm raising her child, right? And her kid is calling me mom. And
that breaks
hard.
my heart. Even though it's good, see how messy it is.
So
like
messy.
It's so good, and yet it's so like it does something
messy
to your heart.
People run from it because it's so messy. They do.
But yet, if you don't let the kids say that, then it's weird for them too.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's just messy. And
but I've watched you, like when you guys came to visit us on vacation at one point because we're friends. This mom was the relationship in this child's back with the mom too,
Mhm.
and they're doing well.
Yeah, and she's become like a daughter
Yeah.
to me.
She's calling you on the phone.
I just
while
talked
we're
to her
here
today.
in Texas.
Yeah.
So they're like, we just need to talk, and I was like,
Yeah.
super messy, but at the same time
Yeah.
going, oh my gosh, that is
Beautiful.
amazing. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how better could the story go?
It's James 1:27 starting to play out.
Well,
but it's on a
and-
deep level.
But it's
Deep
1
level.
Corinthians 13 of
you go.
understanding love. And that was the scripture that God just kept bringing into my mind a lot. And just that I need to love and be patient, and I need to be like, keep no records of wrongs.
Right.
Like, I may offend her, she may offend me, but if she offends me, I need to let that go.
Mm.
And I need just to love her. And it was actually an incredible thing, because we kind of walked, and one of the things that helped us was Sam and I chose to drive her to the courthouse and sit with her at the courthouse as she waited to go see the judge. And it was on those drives that I got to know her, and she would share with us, and we just fell in love with her and who she was, and it was really cool to watch our girls fall in love with her. And then once he went back to her, she started coming to church with us. And she's made friendships there, and she's awesome. She just finished her high school diploma. She's just doing incredible things. Sam and I so I just told her today, I'm like, I am so proud of you. Like, you are doing so good, and we're actually going to hopefully have her out here. She was supposed to actually come out this weekend
That'd be great.
over Mother's Day, and it just
Can't
didn't work.
do it right now because of this.
But
Can we get back to Ash? I
Yeah.
asked a question a bit ago about the accessibility and with like this chasm. Any advice to people if they're interested in helping out with foster homes or being a part of this without necessarily having
A
being a
15-year
foster
journey.
Okay,
Yeah.
there are multiple ways, like getting involved with Hopefully So and through Riverbend, but what we work with Austin Children's Shelter, Settlement Home. Kind of my view on foster care is you're dealing with CPS, so you're dealing with a lot of rules and regulations, and to keep the kids safe, there has to be a lot of confidentiality, a lot of things like that. So I would encourage people to go out and learn about foster care in your community. They need you to go to them. You need to go to them. So like, say you have your men's group, and if there's not an opportunity at Hopefully So for you to volunteer, maybe there's some yard work y'all could do at Austin Children's Shelter to help them out.
That's great.
But I
That's
think
great.
that if you're in California, if you're in Colorado, if you're in Austin, Texas, find group homes, foster care organizations, and you have to go to them. And if it's, how can we help you? How can we support you? And ask those questions as to what they need.
I
See-
think you just mentioned the 3 places I've lived: Colorado, California, and
Yeah.
Austin, Texas, which
See-
is rando.
You're
But
going to be busy for a long time.
What's fascinating about that, I think about you doing the art that you're doing, and it could be music for some people. It could be some other way that
Absolutely.
you're mentoring, just kind of dipping your toe in it here and there too.
Absolutely.
Well, I think also what's interesting in this story, these guys are hanging out now together and going to create this mega group of helping people. Is, Stacey's end up helping her and Sam helping teenage mom basically, who's going through this difficult stuff, which is kind of right where you guys end up being back at too. There's a lot of kids in the foster care that could easily end up in the same place as this friend that has become family to you guys, which is really beautiful. And so I do think you're right, Kevin. There's levels of this, and we don't have to jump into the deep end. It's
That's-
accessible with
It could
some
feel
of these
like
things.
a barrier, like, well, I'm not even going to try. This
Right.
is just, it's
There's-
too far out there.
there's even respite care you can do. I don't know if you guys have heard of respite care, but foster parents, it's really hard, like, to find people to take care of your kids. Like, say you and your husband just need a weekend away.
Right.
But you can get licensed to do respite care, which, even if you're interested in foster care, could get you a taste of what it's like a little bit,
Yeah.
and just love on, a kid for a weekend to allow the family to, the couple to get away for a little bit. I mean, there's that too, that I know they're always in desperate need of.
I think CASA's a great thing too. We have a few people at church. My friend Christina Handgardner is a CASA
Well-
mentor. There's lots of great things. Yeah.
Totally. And to get back to what you're saying, Kevin, Like, I don't have any foster care background. I know nothing. The things that we do, we stick on our activities and like what we're doing and what we're hoping helps. But we literally go and we say, what do you need? And I feel like, we talked about the way that God works on you. And through this journey with me, I've realized through service, I think serving is a lot more listening than it's anything. You
Truth.
listen.
There's
You
truth.
know? And so
Speak
you
it, girl.
well, but like you saying, I don't know what to do. That's amazing because you go and you ask them, what do you need us to do? And because what we do changes all the time because we have kids that are that don't stay long, and what you do for this cottage, what's fun for this cottage may not be fun for that cottage.
What's a cottage? Just to make,
in some of the group homes that we serve, they live in cottages, so
Okay.
about 9 kids to a cottage. But I think with foster care, what Aaron's saying is there's no blanket.
Nope.
There's no blanket. This is how it goes. There's no answer to.
It's this big old amoeba of a problem.
It
Yeah.
is.
And
It
you
is
push
just
it
a
in one
mess.
place and it pushes out
Yeah.
the other place. And it's
Mhm.
discouraging sometimes because you're like, is this working? And it's heavy. You know, I used to do these camps with kids, and I would tell people, hey, if you're going to come to this camp and help with kids, if you're offended by the F word or someone saying that to you, this is the wrong thing for you to come serve at. Because
He's
they're
laughing.
gonna be
Oh yeah.
they're gonna be mad. They're gonna be because Stacy and I talked about this the other night when we were all hanging out in their driveway, 10 feet apart or whatever. How far we
Yeah,
were.
we were good.
We were
Social distancing.
social distancing. we're friends. They're our community. So there's a thing that goes on with especially there's a level of brokenness within the foster kids and teenagers and everybody that is just it's overwhelming. And part of that brokenness that I see is even sharing love. People put up walls.
Yes. Yep.
Both of you know what I'm talking about, right? I want to talk about the driver's license program a little bit, but I want you to answer that question. What happened? Because to me, I think this gets to the level of some of the stuff that Kevin's asking about. It shows the level of just brokenness and hurt. What happens? You have to be careful about how much love and how you share that because they bring up other walls. Can you guys both speak to that a little bit?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, we follow rules and guidelines that are based within the organizations that we serve. So we're very limited because of CPS regulation in anything how much we can or can't. But I do have to say that I do see a beautiful thing with what we're doing. I can have a kid that comes to join us for the first time, say they just checked in, they've just gotten there, and they're going to join us for the first time with our art session. A lot of times they're very standoffish. They don't join us, which is welcome. They don't have to join us. And they tend to be alone and quiet. And then as the second week we come back, they're around, they're scoping it out, but they're not really going to come hang with us and do whatever art we're doing. By the 6th week, that same kid is meeting me out in the parking lot, helping me unload arts
Right.
and crafts, and is telling me, next week we have to do lyric writing,
Yeah.
or we have to do soap, or I have this plan. We're going to cook
It
fajitas.
starts to open up.
Yes,
Right? Yeah.
and it's like, okay, so you're telling me an hour a week in arts and crafts, you really, it makes a difference? I'm telling you, it's small wins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It makes a
It's
difference.
part of the journey, right?
It makes a
Well,
difference.
And
It
it's just
reminds-
consistency.
Consistency.
I was talking to
Your friend.
my friend,
Yeah.
my other daughter, right? And
Yeah.
she was saying that she that's what she looked for was consistency because she was brought up in the foster care system, and she said consistency and people who are genuine. I asked her that today. I said, what would you say to this? And she said, I remember I looked when I was in the group home, I looked for people that were consistent and genuine, and that's hard to find. Especially it's hard to find people who are consistent that aren't paid to be there.
Yep.
Right? Like, so for us as a church, being able to go in and being consistent and genuine and not having any pay or any agenda with
Right.
it is huge.
We actually have a better chance as volunteers with Hopefully So and other things to really make an impact because we're
Mhm.
not getting paid. There's a
Mhm.
genuineness to
Yes.
that that you talk about bringing light into darkness. The contrast is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yep.
But both of you
Well-
sense this thing where it's hard.
Yes.
The love thing is hard, right?
Yeah, and while we're talking about genuineness, I think respect.
Mm-hmm.
I think respecting these teenagers and showing the utmost respect goes very far, in different
Mhm.
ways, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
I remember when we went through training, they said, when we went through foster care training, they said, don't use the word love with
Wow.
them. Because so many kids have been told they are loved and then abandoned, that when you say that, it puts up a wall. And I've seen that to be true in so many cases, that I would say, and I would have to catch myself because I
Goes
fall
so
in love.
against everything we want to do.
Oh,
right?
I fall in love so fast. Every kid that came into my house, I just deeply loved. And I remember saying, like, I would be like, oh, I love you. And then, like, there's a wall. And I'm like, oh, man, like, I just screwed that up,
Yeah.
you know? And then I would have to be careful. I'd be like, I really care about you, you know? Or I really, you know? And but I would have to be careful to work and earn their trust, earn their respect for me,
Yeah.
you know? Because it's all been broken for them.
Kevin, do you have some stuff coming online that people are asking? If you don't, that's okay too. They may just be really enjoying the conversation, but I want
Yeah,
to make sure we get people's
I think
thoughts in
we
there.
haven't got any questions for you guys yet, but people are, of course, encouraged to go ahead and ask questions about anything that Ash and Stacy have experienced. And I guess especially anything about here in Austin, ways for them to help. And as you guys were talking, I had these visions of different movies in my head, like Good Will Hunting and some other movies where the person comes along and becomes that mentor that even if it's for a brief period of time in their lives and makes that big difference. That's what I feel like you guys are talking about, obviously with what you've done with your son, but just these are important things. These are things that make a huge difference in the life of a person for their whole life. I mean, it's going to be huge. So
Well, and the crazy thing about it is I did before Hopefully So got more operational and able to help more and kind of built our programs. I did a lot of mentoring on my own, and we don't have mentoring programs within our organization, but the organizations that we serve do, and we always want to send people that direction. But what I found is they mentored me more than I mentored them.
that's always
Like, it's like, oh my God. Like, you taught me far more. Like,
Uh-huh.
whoa, this flipped.
Yes.
You know?
So let
It's-
me ask you guys this, and this is kind of the questions. I mean, again, this is one of those issues that's big, dark, hard, difficult. I mean, some of the stuff you share, both of you, breaks my heart. I know it breaks your heart too, but tell me where you guys see hope and where you see those stories or those stats or any things that are bringing you hope within these issues, because I think that's important for us to see and hear as we're talking about this.
Yeah, I think I see hope in that I've seen kids relearn how to love, you know, like where even if love has become something negative to them, they can relearn it, you know, which is just an amazing thing, you know, like that, you know, if people volunteer and they love on these kids, that they actually can relearn and that foundation can be there again, you know, that trust for people can be there again. It just takes time. And it takes that love that I talked about earlier of like being able to go. It's the love that you have to have is this love of going in and fully loving them, knowing that they're just going to push back the entire time. And it's just you continue just to love. And, you know, and it was just a beautiful thing to see people learn that. And even I think just seeing this situation with my friend or daughter, like to see like not only that we were able to help her while they went through the foster care system, but they were able to become part of our family. It's a relationship, and
you
that's
guys took like family pictures together with everybody.
we did, and that's another thing. I was like, if people want to get into helping on whatever level, they have to understand it's relational.
Yeah.
Like, right, it's relational. You have to you have to not only let them get to know you, but you have to be willing to get to know them and their mess and love them in their mess. Like it's just part of it, you
Right.
know. But it's a beautiful thing. Like it's amazing. But yeah, I find hope in that, and I find hope in our little boy Danny. That, you know, some of the cases, like his mom just left from the beginning. Like he was a little boy that got
Mom left without any information, left the
Yeah.
hospital, nothing.
they had no way to track her. He was addicted to cocaine when he was born. But through therapy and different things, he's fine. Like he's beyond like coordination wise, he's beyond what other kids are.
Texas
his
is going
age.
to love Danny when he's older
Yeah,
and he
he's
can play
thick.
football.
Yeah,
gonna be-
he's big.
he's-
He's 35 pounds and 2 years old.
Yeah,
he's a
he's
big
glad
boy.
you're here.
he's the-
Yeah. So, but that's a beautiful thing to me to see that too, like a little kid find a home, and we just, he's so spoiled. We love
Yeah.
him so much.
It's good stuff.
Um,
Tell me, Ash, what brings you hope through some of this?
What brings me hope is how many people don't know about foster care but are willing to help and are
Mhm.
willing to learn, and that gives me a lot of hope. People like Stacy give me hope. This is a nonprofit. It's not a business, but I hope that we would get put out of business, right? I hope that there would be no shelter for us to do arts and crafts at. That would be my hope. So just knowing that one child's less gives me hope, and learning and knowing these children give me hope, because I know the statistics, but in front of me, I know these teens who I have relationships with, they're like family to me, are functioning in society. They're doing great, and I'm so proud of them.
Yeah.
And so to know that gives me hope.
Would you talk about, and I kind of want to keep the conversation going, would you talk about the driver's license program? Because I think this is really cool. It's another very accessible way to get involved that you guys are doing, because I think it's really cool.
Yeah, so the driver's license program, we teamed up with these organizations who have transitional living programs. So that's going to be those cottages and those programs that are for the teenagers that are going to age out of care and go on their own. So they've made the decision, hey, help me figure out life on my own. I'm going out on my own. So these cottages, the kids tend to be 17 to 21. Well, there's a problem in foster care for kids to get their driver's license. They get bus passes, but they can't get the driving hours behind the wheel that they need to get a driver's license. And once we heard that that was one of the 5 ways to go against those statistics, we were like, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. And our board members are very, very smart people, and they came together and we all kind of talked it out, and we found out that Austin Driving School does private driving lessons to where they get the drive behind the wheel and get the hours that they need. So we went to the 2 organizations that we serve, and we said, hey, man, we've got this idea. Could we come up with the program? You come up with the regulations with your kids. We'll sponsor it. So they came up with what had to be done, whether it's a job or it's so many hours in school, whatever, but they have to meet the qualifications. And when they do, they get to sign up and enroll in Austin Driving School, and they get to get their driver's license. So we've had over a little up to 15 kids with driver's license. And I have a letter that I always read because it just makes me happy, where the director sent us an email and said, not only did she persevere and got her driver's license, her time staying in our program, she had been saving up for a car. So she was ready to rock and roll whenever she got the license. So
That's cool.
it's an amazing program, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
we need the community support to keep it going.
These are some of the things that we're partnering together with Hopefully So, Riverbend and Hopefully So, to make sure those things happen, because I think they're wonderful. HopefullySo.com.org. HopefullySo.org. We'll make sure and post it too. And if you go on our website right now, we're also doing a thing through the COVID stuff where you can bring snacks and there's a whole list of snacks, because a lot of the kids right now don't have snacks.
Yeah,
They
there are.
do. It sounds weird, but
Well, imagine if I can't say it. Some of the high schools around here have really good food. But imagine if your kids were quarantined with cafeteria food only.
Yes,
As
that'd be
adults, we say
horrible.
it's good and
my
healthy.
kids
And
would revolt.
right, teenagers are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so they can't get out and go. They can't take them to go run to 7-Eleven or wherever they go to get their snacks. So Riverbend is so amazing and has came together, and Krista Ross has developed a system. We need volunteers.
Yay, Krista,
Yes.
we love
Yes.
Krista.
Krista's amazing.
So we're sending snack care packages full of their favorite snacks, and you can email Krista or go to Riverbend. But there's 3 ways. You can donate snacks, you can come pack snacks, or you can deliver snacks every Friday.
Easy, accessible stuff to
easy.
help our
Super
foster
easy.
kids.
Yeah,
We
it's
love
great.
them.
Kevin's making fun of me, but this is my level. This is the level I'm on.
This is how you do. You can tell you have little kids because
Oh, you have a
like-
3 and 4-year-old.
I mean,
good.
yeah, I'm on their level right now.
That's right.
That's awesome.
That's good.
That's wonderful.
Well, is there any questions there, Kevin, before I move on?
No, but I should mention that as we've been streaming and having a chat, most of the comments have been about the piece of artwork behind you. I just got to be
yeah,
honest, and you'll see this when you get home. So
Listen,
again, that
Y'all
is
need to follow her.
Almonte's.
It's awesome.
Is it almonte.com? I think I posted it already. But a lot of comments about that. That is Ash's piece of art there. So,
Y'all are so kind.
well,
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
support Ash and Erwin.
Well-
My favorite, her husband Erwin helps run an art gallery too, and he's amazing. He actually helped me meet one of my favorite drummers ever,
Chad Smith?
Chad Smith. So
Yeah.
shout out to Erwin
from the Chili Peppers.
From the Chili Peppers.
Well, the first time I came to church here, I was like, they have an art gallery. I've never been to a church that has an art gallery. No, I haven't been to many churches, but
Right.
I was like, sold, done.
I'm in.
I'm in. I'm in.
Well,
funny.
again, just a lot of the Riverbend faithful that have been watching all the live streams. Jennifer is just saying thanks for bringing this to a higher level of awareness, which I think is what this is about. It's a term like foster care. I kind of know what that is, but
Yeah.
there's so many details to it, and you guys did a great job of bringing those details to us and getting a better understanding and awareness. So it's helpful.
Well, and Aaron, thank you for putting this together because we do 2 totally different, and that just shows you the depth and
It's
the
huge.
dynamic of foster care, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think the vision I have for this, and even you guys' relationship and others, there's others that maybe from tonight will go, hey, I can do this and this. I mean, I would love to see more people get involved in this, but I have this image in my head of the foster teens that I've worked with particularly, and there's this image of a lot of them basically having all of their possessions in a garbage bag. There's lots of videos and other imagery to talk about. It's something we talk about within, kids moving from home to home, not having the consistency, not having the family. And then on the back end society, we wonder why we have problems in our communities and struggles. Once they leave this difficult situation, it's hard. And I do see church, specifically places like Riverbend, as a place that can help that and change that. I kind of envision at some point society being changed because of how we help the foster system. And I know it's messy. You guys did a great job of doing that tonight. But like you said, Ash, I love what you said.
Yeah.
It'd be great if we didn't need a hopefully so.
It would be amazing.
Yes.
That would be success. But I have this vision in my head of these kids going from group home to group home with a garbage bag of everything that's important to them.
And I have to tell you, on Thanksgiving, we do have our programs, but the staff, we're open to tell us what you need, tell us what you
Right.
need, tell us what you need. And I got an email at Thanksgiving that said, hey, is there any way you can send us 10 duffel bags? Because my kids are going to go off to visit. They can go on visitations, and I want them to have a nice bag to take their stuff in.
Yeah.
So we as an organization sent them 10 duffel bags. But those are the type of things that we hope to get to, right? We hope to get to where when a child checks in to Austin Children's Shelter, the settlement home, whatever group home, immediately they're given a nice bag, a nice welcome. Here's a bag, because I think it does send those unspoken messages.
It does.
And it's those tiny things that can really make an impact, you know, and that we can do without having to be a foster parent if that's not your calling, you
Right.
know?
That's because that's a heartbreaking image that you bring up, Aaron, and of that trash bag. That's pretty rough.
Well, and if I can even add to that, like the smaller kids are in the same boat
They
with
are.
that. Like when we got our twins, they came to us with nothing. They
Yeah.
had nothing. Like I remember I went to the store to buy him something, and I thought, oh, I'll just buy him an outfit each, pajamas each. That's all they had. Like, they didn't have anything except for the clothes that were dirty, and they were dirty when they came to our house, you know? And it's just, it's such a, like, if I can add this to, like, there is such a need, if you are feeling called to do foster care, there's a need for good families. And I say that because multiple times, when you do foster care, you have people in and out of your house all the time, whether it's social workers or, you know, occupational therapists, counselors. Like, I mean, it's a revolving door, and you have to have everything perfect so that they can check out you know, it's just a kind of crazy thing. But on multiple occasions, I've had those workers tell me, parents usually aren't like you. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you actually care. Like, you actually care. And Sam and I are like, well, we're just doing for them what we would do for our own kids. We would fight for their rights. We would care for them. And they're like, no, they don't care. They don't do anything. And so that's that. And I've been told so many times that. And so I think that if you are feeling called to do it, and don't feel pressure into it, because I hate when people feel pressured.
Totally.
So don't feel pressured, because that's wrong.
And there's space
but if
for
you're
all
feeling
along
called,
this journey for people to help.
Yes,
So
but it's need.
Erwin was just sharing a story about a burger, the difference a burger can make.
Oh my goodness. Do we have time for this?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
into it. I think people are too. So it's,
Okay,
this is amazing stuff.
because foster care, I feel like I have to share the details because a lot of people don't understand the dynamic. Okay, so right now, one of our programs is we take the children out to dinner. We have so much fun. We take a cottage out to dinner once a month. So we take 2 to 3 cottages out monthly, right? 10 kids to a cottage. Seems like not a big deal to go out to dinner. I can remember 5 years ago when we went and said, can we take them out to eat? And they were like, what? You're going to take 10 teenagers out to eat? Yes. And so, Erwin, we, at that time, hopefully so wasn't formed yet. We were working on it. And so we go to take 10 kids out to eat, and Erwin was getting a little nervous. He was like, it's getting a little expensive, you know.
Erwin didn't tell that part of the story.
He didn't give us that.
He's burying that part.
But, and he was like, but it's good, we're good. And I'm saying that because as we sat down, he sat with one of the young gentlemen, one of the teenagers there, and the guy, the young man told Erwin, why'd you do this for me? Why'd you buy me this burger? And Erwin was like, I don't know, man. I just wanted to buy you a burger and hang out. And he was like, thank you so much for buying me this burger. And Erwin had tears.
Saying, yeah.
He had tears. He was like, it's just a burger. Like, you know, it's just an hour.
He said he felt tingly.
He did. He's a sweet man, I'm telling you. He's a softie.
Yeah.
Thanks for that story, Erwin.
That's a great story. My son said, I think I lost this camera, so it's okay now if we just have a wide shot when I talk. It's good. We're live TV, so we have technical difficulties sometimes. So I want to thank you guys so much for sharing. You know, I hope if you're home and watching, or if you watch this later on YouTube or whatever else you do, you know, it's important that you see that this is all of this going on. I think often it's really easy to put certain things on the PowerPoint or on the video because it plays out well. It's hard to talk about these things. It's hard to even share these things sometimes in videos. So I think you guys have really done a great job for our church and for other people who are not connected to Riverbend to give a voice to what's going on with this. And I really, really appreciate it. So tonight I wanted to close with a song. This is it's an old hymn called I Will Not Be Moved. I Shall Not Be Moved. And, you know, having Johnny Cash night. Johnny Cash came out with an album in 2004 called My Mother's Hymn Book. And it's one of my favorite albums of his. And he talks about when he was doing this album about, you know, being the man in black and going and being rock and roll and, you know, country and that kinds of stuff. But coming back to the purity of these hymns and these old songs and what it meant to him. And you know, you listen to guys like Johnny Cash, and in their life they had rough stuff, heavy broken family stuff, difficult things, heavy stuff, you know. Just like I look at some of these foster teens. So even the idea of us playing hymns at the end of this show often. If you're first time watching, I always play some weird hymn at the end. It's kind of come from that. And I do think, for me, when I think again about this kid holding everything he owns in a garbage bag, the purity of getting back to something that's real and just is like a connection to God, and it's somewhat, healing for me, I guess. And this song, part of this song is really taken from from Psalm 1, and talking about Psalm 1 has this idea where, you're planted, this tree planted by the water, and you said earlier, Stacy, consistency and being genuine. And I guess part of me wants to sing this song and play it in a way that I hope that the foster kids, whether they're teenagers or kids or that they could have the consistency, that they could put some roots down somewhere, because they don't have a lot of that. And I hope for a day that this makes a difference in all the guys that I see on the streets. So many of them have this story of these things and hurt and pain. And, my friends Brian and others who hand out food most days, they would tell you the stories of those things. They would tell you the stories of these broken kids, and then when they turn into adults, what happens. And so, you guys, what you're doing, it's really going to make a difference. So, is this you should play this real quick.
No, I'm not doing that.
You're going to do that? It's going to be too.
I was going to put you guys on the spot and make one of you guys sing this song, because I thought it was the best song for a foster kid, because it's sad, but we're not going to do that now.
You're not going to do. We'll save it for another night.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're going to spring it on you, but we're not going to do that.
Let's play this song. We'll close it up. Thank you guys for listening and being here. We're going to sing the song together. If you know the song. Glory, hallelujah, I shall not be moved. Anchored in Jehovah, I shall not be moved. Just like the flea planted by the water, I shall not be moved. In his love abiding, I shall not be moved. And in him confiding, I shall not be moved. Just like the tree planted by the water, I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. Just like the tree planted by the water, I shall not be moved. Play a little, Kevin. Glory, hallelujah, I shall not be moved. Anchored in Jehovah, I shall not be moved. Just like the tree planted by the water, I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. Just like the tree planted by the water, I shall not be moved. Thank you guys for hanging and watching tonight. Thank you guys again for coming and being here. Got to play some honky tonk tonight.
That was old-timey.
We
That
went
was
from
super
Weezer last week to
old-timey.
Johnny Cash. Everything Matters, man. We go all over the place.
I feel like old-time Baptist-y guy
Oh
over
man, that
here.
felt good though.
I love
It
this.
felt
That was so
good.
good.
It
I
was
liked
really
it.
good.
Like my mom probably dug that right there. It's super cool.
Oh, I'm glad I can make your mom happy.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
for
really
sure.
happy
Bring the
about
honky
that.
tonk piano in. So
Coolness factor going.
no, it's cool. It's so cool. It's different. Hey, tomorrow night, Carlton will be singing some hymns with everybody. Do you know if he has a special guest?
I do not. I don't know who he's got yet, but he.
Carlton is going to do great stuff. The hymn sing is super fun. Join us. Be a family there. Thursday night, Dave and Diane. Dave's still in Romans, and he's got
Yep.
some cool stuff. He's already posted some stuff today. It's going to be
Best
fun.
thing about that show are Diane's reactions and comments back.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
If you haven't watched yet, check that out. Friday night, Casey will be doing Immerse, and I'm sure he'll have something fun and crazy that I love, which is awesome. Watch Friday night, and then 10 o'clock, our stream is on at church, and I just encourage you guys to keep coming to these things, be together, be a family, and I'd encourage you to share our Facebook page, our Instagram, our YouTube with your friends and people, and Riverbend is an amazing community, and it's example again tonight, and I love the diversity and the things we have going in our community. So share that with people, invite them, come be a part of it, the things that are going on. So thanks for being here. Everything matters, and it's amazing to see what God's doing through some people. So you guys have a great night. Eat some tacos. It's Cinco de Mayo. It's a weird Cinco de Mayo, but do that. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks, guys, for hanging with us. We'll talk to you soon.